just as Christ did on the cross. He suffered terribly, and he was broken by it, to look upon the people who were causing that suffering, or the situation that was causing that suffering, with compassion and with forgiveness. And that's what opens the gates of heaven for all of us.
He made us laugh, he filled theaters, he became a legend of comedy. But what if behind the most iconic smile in Hollywood was a soul quietly breaking? I was on Prozac for a long time, and I just wasn't feeling anything. There were peaks, there were valleys, but they were all kind of carved out for me, he said in a 2004 interview with 60 Minutes.
I was on Prozac for a long time. There are peaks, there are valleys, but they're all kind of carved and smoothed out.
This is the tragic truth behind Jim Carrey's smile. A story of grief, identity, and ultimately grace. Isaiah 41:10 says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." This ancient promise speaks to a fear many hide with a grin, the fear that we are alone in our suffering. But Carrey's story is a testament that even in the darkest night, there can be light. Jim Carrey's rise to fame was meteoric. From Ace Ventura to The Mask to Liar Liar, he defined 90s comedy. His elastic face, wild energy, and boundless charisma made him a household name. But the more famous he became, the less he felt like himself. "I played the part of Jim Carrey so well that I lost myself in it," he said in a conversation with The Talks. Carrey has spoken candidly about the toll that performance took on him. Underneath the roaring laughter was a deep and growing silence. He described his depression not just as sadness, but as a total spiritual collapse. Depression is your body saying, "I don't want to be this character anymore," he explained in a 2017 video interview that went viral. He called it deep rest, a call from his soul to put down the mask, to finally be still.
And depression is your body saying, "Fuck you, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created in the world. It's too much for me."
But this wasn't just existential fatigue. It was clinical. Carrey spoke about being medicated on Prozac and feeling emotionally numb. It feels like there's a low level of despair that you're just kind of okay with. You're not getting any answers, but you're not in enough pain to ask the big questions either. He reflected in a segment with the psych professionals. And yet, he began asking them anyway. Slowly, painfully, Carrey's soul began to rebel against the character he had crafted for the world. His search for meaning led him away from spotlights and into silence. Then came the crucible. In 2015, Carrey's former girlfriend, Catriona White, tragically died by suicide. The world watched, grieved, judged.
On Tuesday, an autopsy report from the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office confirmed her death was caused by, quote, multiple drugs effect.
And then came the lawsuits. Claims that Carrey had supplied the drugs that ended her life. It was a storm of grief and accusation. One of Hollywood's most adored figures was suddenly cast in the darkest of shadows. It was a very tough time. I felt like I was being exploited and hunted down during one of the worst moments of my life, he said in a public statement via CBS News. For over a year, the media circled, but in 2018, the lawsuit was dismissed. Carrey was cleared. Still, the emotional toll lingered. It was during this period that he began speaking more openly about faith, about suffering, about forgiveness. We either go through the gate of resentment or the gate of forgiveness, which leads to grace, just as Christ did on the cross. He shared during a speech at Homeboy Industries. Carrey stood before former gang members and addicts, people society often forgets, and spoke of salvation through pain, of how darkness can refine, not destroy. You are the eyes of God when you reach out. You are the hands of God when you serve. You are the heart of God when you forgive, he said. Carrey turned inward, into silence, into color.
Paintings of Jesus are really my desire to convey Christ consciousness. I wanted you to have the feeling when you looked in his eyes that he was accepting of who you are.
He began painting. I needed color. I needed to feel something again. Winter in New York is tough if you're depressed, he said in his 2017 documentary, I Needed Color. His art wasn't about fame or gallery openings. It was therapy. It was prayer. He created vivid, almost divine portraits. And one of his most striking pieces, Jesus. The paintings of Jesus are about Christ's consciousness. I wanted people to look into his eyes and feel accepted, forgiven, healed. He explained to Gospel Herald. His voice changed. It softened. It deepened. Not in sorrow, but in peace. At Homeboy Industries, a center helping former gang members rebuild their lives, Carrey gave one of the most moving speeches of his life. I believe that suffering leads to salvation. It's through suffering that we choose the gate of bitterness or the gate of forgiveness, he said to a room full of men and women starting over. And more than ever, he spoke of Christ, not as a symbol, but as the source. When you do good things, you are the eyes of God, the hands of God, the heart of God. He shared in that same speech. Carrey's art became his devotion, his sanctuary, his witness. He painted in silence what sermons could not say. He told Signature Galleries that painting Jesus' eyes was the hardest part because I wanted people to feel unconditional love. He had found a way to transmit faith, not through words, but through color and brush. As his public appearances grew fewer, Carrey's message grew clearer. Isaiah 41:10 reminds us, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." Jim wasn't just searching anymore. He was seeing. The funny thing is, all the seeking I did, all the self-help and spirituality, eventually led me to one thing: presence, he shared during a quiet roundtable interview in 2020. Presence, to Carrey, meant more than just awareness. It meant showing up for life, for others, for truth. He began volunteering more.
Like riding a wave, sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm off, but at least I know where I want to go. And I want to take as many people with me as I possibly can because the feeling is amazing.
Giving time and donations to causes like Homeboy Industries, highlighting the importance of compassion over fame. He reminded audience that love, not laughter, is the lasting legacy. Your greatest currency is not money. It's how you affect people, he said in another university address. This wasn't the comedian talking. It was the man behind the mask. He spoke openly about the illusion of identity, the false self, and the peace that comes from surrendering it. I don't believe in personalities anymore. I believe we're all just energy, expressed differently. The need to be someone is the root of suffering, he said on the talks. He found peace not in the masks he wore, but in the surrender of self, echoing Christ's teaching in Mark 10:45. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. In his stillness, he found something laughter couldn't give him: peace. And in his service, he had become something more than a celebrity. He had become a witness. Jim Carrey still makes people laugh, but his deepest gift now might be the permission he gives others to cry, to be honest, to fall apart, to let go of the characters we play, and meet the God who never needed us to perform. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Risk being seen, truly seen, he said during a graduation speech at Maharishi University. This is no longer just the story of a funny man. It's the story of a man who was broken and rebuilt, not by applause, but by grace. Jim Carrey's smile hit a storm, but his eyes now reflect peace, and the same promise that sustained him waits for you. Do not fear. I will strengthen you. I will help you. Isaiah 41:10. At Belief Unfiltered, we go beyond the headlines to explore the heart of character and faith. If this story stirred something in you, subscribe and share your thoughts. Let's build a community rooted in purpose, compassion, and truth. Amen.